Hello, mathematicians. It's Miss Armgart back with another instructional video. This time we're talking about what are percents, how do you change a percent into a decimal. So the first thing you'll notice is that, again, your notes have lines. Do not write everything word for word. Summarize. So the important idea for the first step is you place a decimal at the end of the number. So the decimal goes at the end. Then you move the decimal to the left, and it'll be two places. We're talking about the power of 10 to the second, and then remove the percent. So let's zoom in and look at these in great detail. So first we have 35%. So the very first thing that we do is we add the decimal, and then we move it 2 places to the left. We rewrite that as 35 hundredths because percent means per 100, so we're going to the hundredths place. Now on our second example over here, there's already a decimal, so we can skip step number 1. We are just going to move 2 places and then rewrite this with all of the numbers. We're not going to drop any numbers. So this becomes 0.355. We have taken all of the numbers and we've kept them. Now, lastly, 135%, we still add the decimal at the very end by that percent sign. We still move 2 places. So this number becomes 1.351 and 35 hundredths. So we haven't changed the numbers themselves. All we've done is divide each of these by 10 to the second, or you can say you divide each of these by 100 to get the decimal. So now what happens when you need to convert back, when you need to go from a decimal to a percent? So there are 2 different ways to do it. You can use a fraction or you can use the power of 10. I am going to go over both pretty quickly. So first we're going to use the fraction. We're going to make 1 2/10 into the fraction that is literally 1 2/10. And then we are going to turn this mixed fraction into an improper fraction, 12/10. Then we're going to multiply each part by 10 because we need to get our percent per 100. And if we start with 10, 10 times 10 is 100. 10 times 12 is 120. Now that we are per 100 over 100, we can write this as 120%. So that fraction can be really useful. You also can use a power of 10. So here we have our decimal. When we are converting from percents to decimals, we go to the left. Now we're going to go the opposite to the right. So we're going to move 2 places to the right. And we're going to rewrite this as 47.8%. So whichever method is easier for you, doesn't matter which one you use, both will get you back to the percent. So now how do you connect percents and decimals when you're trying to find the percent of a number? So the first step is always to do percent to decimal, then to create a number sentence, and then the last one is to fill in the operations to find your missing value. So it will be multiplication or division. So 35% of 40 is blank. Well, often in math, you're going to hear this is what? So let's translate our percentage, first of all, into a decimal. We know that we move that decimal 2 places to the left. So this becomes 35 hundredths. Of actually means multiplication. So of 40 means multiplied by 40 is equals what? We don't know. It's an unknown. It's X. So 35% of 40 is what? In a number sentence in math is 35 hundredths times 40 equals X. So now we just perform the operation. We perform the multiplication of 40 times 35 hundredths, which we can rewrite as 40 times 35 will give you 1,400 or 1,400. Now, don't forget, we moved the decimal here 2 places to the right. Now we have to move it 2 places to the left. We have to add it back in, and x equals 14. Always check my math with a calculator. So let's look at another example that is similar but not quite the same. So 75% of what is 217? Well, we know step one, change your percent to a decimal. So that would be 75 hundredths. Of is multiplication. What is x is equals and 217. So again, we have translated into a number sentence. So now we have to rewrite this because we don't know what x is. We can't multiply 75 hundredths. We have to perform the opposite operation and we have to divide. And whatever we do to one side, we must do to the other side. So we get 217 divided by 75 hundredths. But remember, we can't have a decimal down there. So we are going to multiply each of these by 100, that 2 places, to get 21,700 divided by 75. Now we're ready to set up our long division. You'll notice on your notes, we've conveniently given you the multiplication table for 75. That is a super duper helpful shortcut that we are going to use. So let's set up our long division. Well, 217 is close to 150. So we are going to put our zeros there. We're going to do 2. We're going to fill that in, perform the subtraction. So pause the video, do your own division, come back and check your answer. All right, so here is the completed long division. You'll notice we're starting to get into the same pattern that every single time that I do my long division, my decimal is always going to be 3. So the answer to this problem is 289 with 3/10 repeating. Don't forget to put that bar over the top. That last part of your notes, I am not going to go over. You have ratio tables that we've already used. You can use those to figure out these same problems. You can also use proportions and the decimal operations that I showed you. So we now have 3 different ways to figure out how 3 different ways to figure out these problems. So do not forget to fill in your example. And I am Miss Armgart saying happy solving.